So, it's the end of June. Throat's feeling a bit rough today. Alright. Honestly, I haven't done much, obviously I haven't done much with the channel. In fact, I'll be real, I kind of stopped playing Stalker a bit. I think I suffered from the hubris of my own, self again. I got so into it that I played it nonstop, and I have not touched Narodna Solyanko P2 for like a couple of weeks now. And I'm kicking myself in the ass, kind of like, if only I had that fucking sensibility, and I could just spend some time rendering and uploading videos, and I wouldn't have burned out on doing the uploads. Again, like I said before, in a couple months ago, a month or two ago, I just really am scared for my hard drive, for the hard drive I put this shit on. Because it is an older HDD, and I don't want to accelerate its death. I also don't want to accelerate any of my SSD's death, but I learned from a friend of mine that knows a bit more about tech than I do. Actually works in it a bit, last I knew it. Or at least works with it frequently, that SSDs have a longer lifespan than I thought. It's been slow because it hasn't been my priority, but I have been reading a bit more of those books I got. I got into this rabbit hole, and it's a topic I want to cover on in a later roundup. I got into this rabbit hole of fake video games. There's even a whole subreddit for it where people post Vermis-like art. And I don't remember if I mentioned this in previous roundups, but a while back, somewhat recently, I bought a handful of books. I bought Vermis 1 through 3, Godhusk, Final Fentanyl. I bought that one because it looked very interesting. It looked genuine, design-wise, aesthetic, art-wise. It looked really interesting, even just from the cover. And I read all of Final Fentanyl. That was great. I saw a video of someone going through all of Vermis, and actually downloaded a PDF of Godhusk and read through all of that because I was impatient. But I'm planning to read the actual physical copy of Godhusk. I'm going through Vermis 1 right now, and in Vermis 2 and 3, go back through Godhusk, and then finally I bought Super Eye Patch Wolf's The Bizarre World of Fake Video Games. And that is probably the last one I'm going to go through, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. I want to do it in a certain order, but and then later roundup, I want to talk about that stuff. It's very fascinating. The one caveat is you have to buy these. You basically have to buy these from HoloPress, which I don't remember if it's a France or Italy based company. I think it's Italy, but I don't remember exactly which of the two it is. Point is, I was slapped with a UPS. Was it UPS? I don't remember. I was slapped with a fee. These books came in two separate orders, not all at once, and I was slapped with a fee both times. Oddly enough, after they already arrived, but it was still a fee that I felt compelled to pay because, you don't want your debts to just collect. Bit of a personal bit of reveal. My family had a problem with that. My father, in particular, had a problem with letting his debts collect, and he ended up in a lot of bad spots because of that. Don't want that to be me. But I'm probably not buying from HoloPress anymore. At least not anytime soon. I got what I want. Ultimately, It's been a chill month. Uh, I am a huge fan of Edge Runners, so because of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, so because of the Wuthering Waves collab, I decided to try Wuthering Waves out. I'll be real. I love the gameplay. I love the world of Wuthering Waves. The story and the quests felt lackluster and a little boring to me. It also felt like it also kind of felt like I was trying to throw myself into something that either I didn't fully understand or didn't ultimately particularly care about. Like, I tried to get into all the lore and keep up with everything the characters were saying, and it's like, I kind of don't really I don't really vibe with any of this. I don't really care about much of it. I genuinely gave it a shot. I played it for a few days, then I uninstalled it. I got Rebecca, since she's free. Didn't get any of the weapons. There's three main problems. The second main problem I had with it was, it is fucking skimping out on those pools. You can, so you need 10 currency to do a 10 roll, otherwise you're doing single rolls, and most people want to do 10 rolls, right? Mind you, I'm coming off of Limbus Company and Nikke. And in the former, you don't even have to interact with the gotcha mechanic. And that's part of what I love about it. In the latter, they throw plenty at you to do pulls. The only problem I have with Nikke is my luck has been so shit. I almost never get a fucking an SSR anymore. I almost never do. And I feel like meanwhile friends of mine just pull SSRs all the time. So it's not like the drop rates have been manipulated or anything. My luck and Lady Luck has just decided fuck me in particular for Nikke. But coming off of those two and in the Wuthering Waves, holy shit. You need 10 of a currency to do a 10 pull. And you get, what was it, a Asherite or Asherite? I'm going to say Asherite. You get this stuff called Asherite or whatever, and you have to spend 160 to get one of that currency. Being a free-to-play player I've heard rumors about MiHoYo games about how stingy they are. Stingy, that's the word I want, not skimpy. How stingy they are with their with pool currency and yada yada yada. So you need 160 Asherite for one currency. You go out there into the field and you do, like, they're littered everywhere. There's all these little things littered everywhere where you're like, kill these enemies, and you can open this chest or kill these enemies, and you can, I don't even know what the hell it is, claim this little shining beacon thing that's just floating there, and it gives you 5 Asherite a pop. So you have to do so many of these and go all over the map to get a single currency, a single piece, or the orb thing that you spend, a single orb thing that you spend for pulls, and for one pull. And you get boosts of currency by doing story, sure, but by a certain point, I just didn't care anymore. I worked up enough currency, I think, to do 2 10 pulls for Lucy and 1 weapon 10 pull. And I got some stuff. But, like, there was 1 10 pull where I got nothing. There was 1 10 pull, I forget if it was the weapon 10 pull or a character 10 pull, but there was 1 10 pull where I got, like, nothing. But, like, shitty weapons. Honestly, and this is after days of grinding, a few days of grinding. I didn't feel like. I just didn't feel like continuing it. Actually, there's four reasons now because I forgot about that one. Number three, the fact that you pull for weapons on top of characters felt kind of ass. Number four, it was like 140 fucking gigabytes. I'm sorry. I think my upper limit would be like, and I actually uninstalled it because I want to install and play this soon. My upper limit would be something like Crimson Desert. I think it's like 80 gigs or something. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Fucking 100 for a game but that's for a game like I'm really excited for, and I am genuinely hype and excited to play Crimson Desert. But for a fucking gotcha game, no, 140 gig. I wouldn't even consider 80 gigabytes, still 140. Um, I started playing Kingsfield. I'll talk more about that in the actual end of the year MG roundup. But it's fun so far. And I've been getting back into Power World. Uh, Mostly just to get my bearings because I know so much is going to be. I admit this. Usually, I do media blackouts and stuff. I'm looking forward to. I've been on Pocket Pair's dick like a crack whore. I've been taking a look at their Twitter once or twice a day because they keep posting a new, every now and then they post a new pal or they post a new like update thing. They did like a couple of posts where they showed off they are completely revamping the boss towers and the boss fights. At the very least revamping the boss fight arenas. And they're completely revamping the sanctuaries. So they're putting a good amount of work in, and I've asked about this even in their server. Like, are they blowing their load too early though with revealing content? And somebody tells me, oh no, Pocket Pair Strip said that the 1.0 update the 1.0 release is going to be the biggest content update yet, bigger than anything they've released before. So whatever they're showing now, I'm sure is going to be a fraction. It is just a fraction of what they're actually going to have in the 1.0, and I'm absolutely going to be starting a new save. I'll keep the old one, but I'm going to definitely be starting a new one. But so much is going to be changed, plus what they've added since the initial EA release, that I'm going to be that I am going to be starting a new save, and with better internet, I can actually play multiplayer with friends, which is great. Let's see. Deltarune Chapter 5 came out, and that was great. I really enjoyed that. I'm not going to talk about it here, obviously. I will talk about it in the... I think Deltarune was a special mention, because that's what I do with EA games, early access games, and the MG roundups is their early access stuff is special mentions. If I didn't do it for Power World last year, it was going to be in the one before that, but I never did the one for 2024. So I'll definitely be... I might have talked about Deltarune in last year's, I don't remember. Definitely will be talking about it in this year's. Maybe do a little bit of a recap and without saying too much. But that's for then. But I really enjoyed it. Right now I'm just trying to finish Kingsfield and occasionally playing. I did get back into some of my autism, just casually playing Ellen or booting up Monster Request Paradox to autistically work on NPCs I like, giving, with their jobs and their races and all that. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, I've mostly just been chilling. Trying to get back into the groove of watching more anime and movies. One thing I like is, so I just one. So real quick though. So ultimately, I'm just mainly waiting for Power World's release on July 10th. It is. I am going to disappear from any. I am only. I've said this before. I'm only active in a handful of Discord communities. Some of them aren't even very public. It's just, a little me and the boys hanging out shooting shit kind of deal. I'm gonna be disappearing from even those. I'm gonna be disappearing from even those after after Power World comes out. Uh, Another fun thing I want to talk about is I think I mentioned this before, but I regularly will, whether it's streaming video, what we're playing to each other, or watching movies and anime together, I regularly just get in VC with friends for stuff. I do this in two servers, I think. I mean, yeah, two servers I'm in. I do this in, and in one circle of one of my circles of friends, literally, we do stuff. I'd say probably half of any given week. There's two separate people host anime streams on Saturday and Sunday. We have a guy who does Friday streams, and now I have been, I have been. And it was suggested to me by one of them. Hey, why don't somebody tried to do Mondays and it didn't work out well. Why don't you take over Mondays? So I'm like, okay. And now I am officially in charge of the Monday streams, where I stream Columbo. I also showed them Amazing Digital Circus, and they thought it was good enough. I thought it was good enough too. No idea what I stay out of it with fandoms. I don't get involved in fandoms. My entire thoughts on Amazing Digital Circus is just focused on the actual show, and me personally, I don't really get involved in fandoms. I still don't. I still haven't. I'm just basing this off of a interaction I had in a server I'm no longer in, even with some people. But I don't get the whole Jax's trans thing. By the way, I'm not like holding back on that one, like avoiding saying it, because here's the thing. I said this last night to some friends. If you just watch Amazing Digital Circus, and you don't interact with any of the fandom, you would have to be reaching. You would have to be reaching and really, really looking into it. Maybe even do some mental gymnastics to come to any conclusion that Jax is trans. Me saying I don't think Jax is trans is not spoiling anything you're gonna see in the show. But I found this out in a server, because I don't really go on Twitter that often. I went on Twitter a little bit more this month. Didn't like it. Scuttled back under my rock. Turns out, I looked into it a bit more. Turns out what actually happened is Gooseworks posted art of Jax if he was trans. By the way, that's the key word, if. If. It literally even stated Jax if... Well, it said something else. But it basically was like Jax if he was trans. And Gooseworks posted this artwork that they made specifically because there was tons of discourse already talking about it. People were already saying Jax is trans before this post by Gooseworks. There were people giving a reach, and this is nothing new. This is nothing new. This is something I have seen on occasion, poking my head out from the sand, out from under my rock, where people try to take a character from an anime, from a TV show, in this case from an independent animation, from a video game, and say, this character's trans, this character's gay. I have never touched a Persona game in my life. I intend to at some point in the near future, of course, go through those games, starting from the actual beginning. That's right, Persona 3, baby. But even I, under my rock, as deeply buried as I am, have not escaped the Kanji is gay, Naoto is trans narrative, which, from what I've been told by friends who actually are fans of Persona, are both bullshit. Now, all of this is because in a server I'm no longer in. I recently, that was in this past month, I recently simply stated, I don't think Jax is trans. And a bunch of people got on me like, no, dude, he's trans. The Goose even said he's trans. Creator's trans, and Creator even said he's trans. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna back the fuck off. Clearly, all I did was say a personal opinion, and a bunch of you were bombarding me with your opinion. This tells me that if I stand my ground and I insist on my opinion, you guys are gonna be pissed. I left that server because I said the word retarded once, by the way, and I got like, oh god, I got like a couple of people on my ass at first, and I tried to skip it. Just skip over that and not pay attention to it. And dude just keeps pinging me like, man, you don't just overlook the fact that you said a slur, address me. And another dude's like, yeah, that wasn't the win, man. I just didn't want to deal with it. After those two got involved, I ended up with like 7 dudes and a moderator on my ass, and I said, and one guy's even like, what, I think this warrants it, and literally pings the entire moderator team over this, and I'm like, fine, fuck it, I'll delete it, and I delete the post. And that's not even good enough. One of the original people that called me out on it is still pinging me and hounding me, saying, no, you don't get to just delete it and walk away. Get back here. And I'm just like, what the fuck do you want from me? You want to put me against the wall or something for this? And he basically said, yeah, he did. He pretty much what he said pretty much amounted to, yeah, he did. I think he made some kind of like comparison, like, well, people who spend all their lives saying the N-word get put against the wall. And I'm like, so it's comparable to saying the word retard? Or rather, saying retard's comparable to saying the N-word. And basically, he admitted he did want to put me against the wall for this shit. And I'm like, you know what? You guys are fucking crazy. Moderator even gets on my ass telling me, dude, just drop it, stop it, or I will time you out. And I finally snapped and I just responded more like, dude, I am not going to say anything more after this post. I am not going to continue this bullshit. I am not even upset at this point right now that I can't say a word. Though, yes, I was upset about that, but like, in this point in time, I'm not upset about that. What I'm upset about right now is I deleted it. I said I wouldn't say it again. Once already. And multiple people here are still hounding my ass, and they were still pinging me, saying, well, you don't seem very sorry, and well, you seem upset you can't say slurs. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Get off my dick. I was done. I left that server. I've been there for about a month or two now. I'm good. I'm so fucking... These people are crazy. Thin-skinned bitches. But yeah, Amazing Digital Circus was great. And personally, don't get involved. Here's the thing. Gooseworks even came out and said that the fandom is so toxic and so insane that they want to just plus all the burden that they've dealt with doing this project. And they came out saying, like, admitting, like, yeah, that they basically did the bulk of the work on this, and this literally was their brainchild and their passion project. But at the same time, it was running them ragged, running them into the ground, and they are in a way glad to be done with it. That's very fair. So between that and Gooseworks Clown saying that the fandom has basically made them miserable, yeah, no, I don't blame Gooseworks for stepping away. And mind you, it's the fandom, the same fandom that's probably when Gooseworks says the fandom's making me miserable, I mean it does. So the same fandom that's nonstop trying to repaint a narrative that into Jax is trans with no proof. And now that you've made art of it, just because why the fuck not? Because you saw the discourse. Now they're latching on to that as proof that they're right. It's so disgusting and disingenuous. Anyway, by the way, funny conversation I had while we're on the subject. Fuck it, funny conversation I had with a friend. No, not a friend. I'm sorry. This was in a completely separate server that I don't really have any friends in. Somebody was talking about Steam is now adding a function where you can exclude the LGBTQ plus whatever and the politics tags. And now, me personally, I'm not going to use it for one very specific reason. As tempting as it is to use, there are games that, because of shitheads who do the tagging, get one or both of those tags when it's not very applicable and the game itself is actually fine. There are also games that have these tags that are insufferable as shit, with characters and story and all that, and writing. But I'm not going to filter out the good to get away from the bad. I would rather sift through the bad to find the good. But in the process of this conversation, I found out that apparently there are a lot of people bitching that this is trans erasure. Again, thin-skinned bitches. Personally, if I were to play devil's advocate here, I think those people should be happy that this function is being implemented, because it means the people they don't want, the people that are anti-trans or that don't care about trans people, those people will no longer be looking at their games. Now they'll only have their true allies looking at their games, the people that are on their side. Isn't that what they would want? I'm not shitposting, by the way, or like doing a fucking bit. Okay? This is legit my thoughts. Like, isn't that what they would want? The people who are going to be against them to fuck off, and the people that are with them to stay by them. And that is essentially what this function would allow. So I don't get the whining, but that's just me. I'm a very logical person. Let's see. This isn't even the roundup, by the way. I'm sorry if I'm shitting this up with that. This is just what I've been up to the past month. But yeah, Deltarune was great. Amazing Digital Circus was great. Oh yeah, Monday streaming. So now that TADC is done, one of my buddies just urged me to stream, to try to get a fellow friend of ours into Kamen Rider. So now, since TADC is done, my Monday streams are Columbo and then Kamen Rider Kuga, which I have already seen a way back a few years ago, Kamen Rider Kuga, and it is a very good old Rider show that I would recommend. It is in the middle ground. It's not as bloody and gory as, say, Amazon, Shin Kamen Rider Black Sun, but it has a lot more violence and even blood. Even if it is just like blood splatter on the face to show, oh, they got seriously injured. It has blood. It has actual, like, people are getting thrown around and beat the fuck up. Instead of some rider shows have some rider shows dumb it down a bit and have, like, a person is whacked by the monster of the week and they're sent flying like 10 feet, but then they get up and they have like only minor injuries, no real blood on them. No. In Kuga, it's much more like almost bloodless carnage, I would have to describe it, where there's occasional blood on the face and the arm and whatnot to show they are getting injured without it being like them being like outright gored. And there are lots of, like, cops at least that just straight up die when trying to fight I think the villains of Kuga are called the Grongi, I believe. Every Kamen Rider is different. It has different, like, some have their own unique, like military slash police force with a unique name and background. In Kuga's case, it is just the police. It's one of those few Kamen Rider series where it's just the police, and the police are literally getting slaughtered trying to contain and combat the Grongi. And you see people just there are people that just, they're getting their necks snapped, they're getting impaled in the head, but it doesn't go out of its way to show you all the blood and carnage like, say, Shin Kamen Rider Black Sun and Amazon's do. Sorry, I've been yapping already about this. You can tell I love Kamen Rider. Let me see. That's basically what I've been up to. But now that TADC is done, I got to find something else, because God, yesterday I streamed an episode of Columbo. Those usually run like an hour to an hour and a half. The last episode of TADC, which that runs like an hour, and then like 4 or 5 episodes of Kamen Rider Kuga, which is like 24 minutes each. I'm gonna have to find something else to put in, or I might be overloading my one friend. Because he's not too impressed yet, but he's still willing to humor us. I even told him we could try to go to a completely different kind of show if he doesn't like this one and ends up falling off of it, like 01. 01 is so fucking good. But, at this point, next Monday, I'm gonna have to figure something out. Because I'm gonna need, like, it's gonna be an episode of Columbo, at least 2 or 3 episodes of Kuga. I'm gonna need something else to fill it in if we want to go for longer streams instead of shorter ones. So I need to consult my buddies and see what they want to do at some point in the next week. But that's basically everything I've been up to, and again, I'm mainly just trying to finish up Kingsfield, and on the 10th, I'm gonna fucking vanish when Power World comes out. So that's basically the roundup portion. Now for the roundup rant. Last month it was about online communities. The month before that it was about AAA gaming, video games, specifically AAA gaming. This month it's going to be about video games in general a bit. And this month I'm going to try something new. I'm going to use I'm gonna start using images I like to. I'm gonna start using images I like as thumbnails for my videos. So yeah. Oh yeah. One more thing before I get into the roundup. Among the people I've been getting into, I think I mentioned this before, but I've been getting into like, I was into like Alicia X Life. I kind of fell off of that a bit more lately, mostly because I'm just kind of not into. I still like the reactions, but I'm trying to like consume other types of content now instead of just reactions. Been getting into like Rev says Desu though. That's pretty concise info stuff. But one guy I've been getting into lately is Fleekazoid. Holy shit, he has quickly become one of my top favorite YouTubers already. Fucking love that man. Fleekazoid, please re-release the Nun. Please re-release the Nun shirt and cup. I want the shirt. Give me the shirt. Please. I want to give you my money. So, the roundup. Roundup rant. I want to start off with a little bit of something. When I was a kid, I had an N64. About a couple dozen games for it. My three top favorite games in that, none of which I should have been playing as a kid, were Turok 2, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and Doom 64. Now, you might think I'm a weirdo and an outlier for this. Doom 64 is still my favorite Doom game. For its own reasons. Conker's Bad Fur Day, oh. I love that shit. Turok 2, that's the game that opened me up to the possibility of like video game weapons. It was literally my gateway in middle and high school to kind of trying to keep this like compendium of just awesome video game weapons that I liked across various franchises of video games. But I loved mine 64. I played a lot of bad games on it. That I still loved. I played Aiden Chronicles: The First Mage, War Gods, BioFreaks. Some trash, but it was my trash, and I loved it. It's what got me into collectathon games with the likes of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Kirby 64, all kinds of 64s. Let's see. Played a bit of PS2 when my parents owned it. That's how I found Okami and Katamari and God of War. And it was like, wow, these are so different from the games I played on the N64 and the GameCube. Had a GameCube, had a handful of games for that. Up until recently, I only ever beat Resident Evil 4 and Code Veronica. Those are my two Resident Evil games under my belt. My friends still think that's the weirdest thing, considering the others were also on GameCube, but that's what I did. Lots of Animal Crossing. That's kind of what I think. That's kind of what inspired, like, was my gateway drug into like. It was my gateway drug into being interested in games that let you customize houses, that let you mess around with furniture, that let you basically not do customization with your characters. No, it was Aiden Chronicles, I think, was my gateway into that one. That lets me just grind out and keep customizing characters and trying to build them up to be uber badasses. Animal Crossing was my gateway into, I can decorate a house. I can, I can, like, I got stuff I can try to collect, like the golden fishing rod and the golden axe, the golden net, collect all the bugs, collect all the fish, pay off the debt, and keep upgrading my house, complete furniture sets, collect the I don't even remember what they called them, those things that I remember how you got them, but I don't remember their names. You could dig them up. You could dig like every time it rained, the next day 3 would be buried somewhere in the town, and you could dig them up. I remember collecting those. I tried to collect all of them and on one of my characters, and I made multiple villagers. I love that game so much. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Paper Mario. If I had to extend it to my 4 favorite games on the N64, Paper Mario would be there. It was definitely up there, but the more adult games pushed out of the way. But yeah, I love Thousand Year Door. Also, a little fun fact. Little fun fact while we're here. Paper Mario was supposed to be a N64 version of an N64, like either a sequel or just a new entry in the franchise, like series or whatever. But it was supposed to be another Super Mario RPG, but then it got reworked into Paper Mario, and that's how you have the Paper Mario franchise now. Never did beat SMRPG, to be honest. I got up to like the underwater ship area, or a bit after that. It was either that or the Axum Rangers. Let's see. Got an Xbox. Some of my and then an Xbox 360. Some of my fondest memories. I'm not even kidding. So, and I almost miss it, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad I don't have it anymore. Because this is back when I was console gaming, not PC gaming. I had a nice recliner in my bedroom. It was used, it was secondhand, I got it for free, but it didn't have any bugs in it. It wasn't torn up and shitty. It was in good condition. The person just didn't want it anymore. I had that in my bedroom. I would sit there playing on my Xbox and my Xbox 360, and there were days I'd fall asleep. There were days I would fucking fall asleep gaming. Because that chair was so cozy. On my Xbox, I remember being hyped for Doom 3. Played that. Well, I didn't have a gaming rig. I did eventually. Doom 64 was my first Doom game. I would go on to try to go through Doom 1 and 2 later on. Speaking of, I had this weird experience as another little side thing. So I first tried to play Doom on the Game Boy Advance. I actually played and beat it on PC. But there was something about certain games on the Game Boy Advance that at the time gave me this weird sense of nausea. The main one I can remember is there was this. I traded video games with a kid once. There was this Outrun clone. I think it was, where you're on a motorcycle, and you attack other people on motorcycles. But it's basically, at the core of it, it's an Outrun clone. I don't know if it's because of how fast you were going in that, how fast everything was moving around you. I would try to play this game, and I got this weird sense of fucking nausea. I could not play this game. I don't think I have that issue now. Especially since I really enjoyed actually playing Outrun, and the Outrun that they put into Yakuza 0. But as a kid, for some reason, I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle that kind of stuff. But anyway, original Xbox. Conquer Live and Reloaded came out. I had my issues with that game. I still liked it, but it was so dubbed down from the first. The cheats menu was completely gone. There were a lot of fun cheats you could use for unlockable characters. As much as I liked the multiplayer aspect, which I never even used multiplayer. I never went online. I just played it with bots and did everything there was to do. by the way, and like beat every single thing there was to do for playing with bots. But I just didn't like it nearly as much as all the wacky stuff you could do in the N64 version. You had the heist one, you had capture the flag, rescue civilians. Uh, then you had the hoverboard racing, and you had some fun stuff like the one where you played as either the raptors or the caveman, and the goal was to steal the eggs from the raptors to cook them into omelets, cook them for the cavemen to eat, or to mangle the cavemen and carry their bodies to the young, so that they could so that they could feed their babies. It was messed up and really cool and fun. I think Live and Reloaded was a dubbing down of it, and I'm not a fan. I wasn't that much of a fan of it. I liked it. It was okay. What I really liked on the OG Xbox was Doom 3 and Elder Scrolls 3. That was my first time getting an Elder Scrolls, and I loved it. Mechanics. There were mechanics that frustrated me about it, like, missing when you're directly hitting an enemy or whatever, and of course failing to cast spells. But I found my way around the game, and I found my way around some of the mechanics and how you can abuse the shit out of them. Doom 3. So I classify Doom in three categories, three eras. Classic Doom, Horror Doom, New Doom. Yeah, Classic Doom, that's Doom 1 and 2, Doom 64. Anything even later released that could be considered Classic Doom, I would classify as that, but that's mainly for those three games. Horror Doom is Doom 3, Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil, and Doom 3 The Lost Mission. And there's also a mod that's even out on GOG now called Doom 3 Phobos that I want to play soon. I'm very interested in that. Then you have New Doom, so Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods, Doom the Dark Ages. I'd never played The Ancient Gods. I'm probably not going to. It's probably going to be a long time before I do that. It's probably going to be a long time before I play Doom the Dark Ages. But Eternal, I had my problems with Eternal. Played through it, it was pretty okay. Pretty fun. Didn't like how it's like, oh, now there's very specific ways for you to kill that you're intended to fight and kill enemies. Heard the Ancient Gods went even harder on that, and I'm not a fan of that at all. I think Doom 2016 is my second favorite Doom game. That right there was like the perfect blend. The perfect blend of classic and new Doom. About as good as it could get. Anyway, Doom 3, I was super hyped for it. I don't care about any of the haters, any of the people that say it's shit. The worst I'll say about it is it's fucking dark. It's meant to be that way, and you can't see shit, but I can see why people don't like that. Me, I was hyped for Doom 3. I think I was in middle school at the time. Played the shit out of that. And then, and this is kind of important. This next bit's kind of important for one of the main points of this month's roundup rant of today's topic. Resurrection of Evil came out. Now, if you are familiar with Doom, you can get the BFG edition, which contains Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil, and The Lost Mission. Now, I'm not exactly familiar with this part, but I have been, even though I've played both, the original Doom 3 and BFG edition, but I have been told by friends that they made the AI easier. It was less punishing in the BFG edition. Now, I still wouldn't know this because I played BFG edition with a mod that actually enhances the graphics, enhances pretty much everything, but also enhances the AI. So I felt like it was even more punishing when I played it on console. The AI was like smarter, better. I liked that. I never finished playing it with that modification, but I want to get back to that one day. But yeah. So I loved Doom 3. I still love it. Played Shiv out on console. But here's the thing. Resurrection of Evil comes out, I gotta buy it physical. This was back when not even if this is back when I went onto a gaming forum to get help with Elder Scrolls 3 modding and got permaban when I said verbatim, "Oh, I downloaded the game." Because this was back when that basically 99% chance meant piracy. This is before Steam was as big as it is now. When even when you were playing PC games, you were expected to have a disc. So, Doom 3 Resurrection Evil comes out. I try to find it. None of the stores have it. This is either when... I don't think it was back far enough that they were called Electronic Boutique at the time, but I remember the time when it was. I think this might have been when they were called EB Games. But either way, whether it was EB Games or Electronic Boutique, it wasn't in any local ones, but I kept looking, and a single EB Games upstate had one copy of Resurrection of Evil. But the cool thing was, I could buy it and reserve it, and have it shipped down to a local branch closer to my address of EB Games, and go pick it up there. And I did this, brought it home, played the shit out of it, and loved it. It was great. Slightly inconvenient, but still. It was a good system. And as much as I didn't like it, some of my discs would get really scratched up. But as much as I didn't like it, that aspect, I still loved having disc-based games. I say, physical games. I say this as somebody who is a the word's not coming out right. A massive data hoarder. Massive data hoarder. But that's because I'm kind of, I got used to the times. I got used to the way of things. I liked the age of physical games, but I'm not going to let myself get held back by that nostalgia. And hell, I actually even gave up physically collecting stuff because I didn't have the money, especially for older games that I liked. Physical copies were being marked up, were being scalped, and I even gave up my entire N64 collection plus console. Because there one night because I was in a bad financial situation, needed money, and my mother knew a collector who paid good money for these for older games. So I sold him my entire N64 collection, about 24 games. Console, controller, memory pack, everything, for a decent chunk of money. I figured, hey, we're in the age of emulation. We're entering the age of emulation now. We've been there for a while. Everything I've already played all these games ad nauseum. I got my enjoyment out of them. I'll be able to emulate them if I ever want to replay them. I think this is getting into more personal territory, but there were good chunks of my past in my life where I basically accepted that it was unreasonable to have large amounts of materialistic possessions that I wanted just to have, even if it was just to sit on a shelf, because money was so tight and living pretty much month to month. I grew accustomed to wanting for less, basically. So the idea of having those physical collections, the idea of having shelves full of stuff that even if I showed nobody else in the world, I could look at this is mine, and in a way that makes me happy. I grew accustomed to not wanting or expecting that. So, but I get it, is the thing. It's nice to have. I mentioned those video game books earlier, the fake video game books. I like having them on my shelf. I started buying manga that I like. I like having that on my shelf. Now let's see. Um, I got into the age of digital distribution and Steam and all that, and that's when I entered data hoarding. And I talked about this back in my very first vlog, actually, the data hoarding thing. So we're not going to get into that here. But I started noticing things, especially with AAA games, with games being released on console. I started noticing things. Like I said a couple months ago, my last financial contribution to AAA gaming was in 2016, so about a decade ago. I bought a PS4, which is right next to me to my right on my dresser. Still works. And actually bought two games, Doom 2016 and FF15, but I don't like talking about that one. That was a bad purchase. Did not spend anything on AAA games since then. Anytime I buy a game, I stuck to my data hoarding. Anytime I would actually buy a game. It would be an indie game. I bought Palworld. I mean, shit. I'll admit this. I pirated Palworld to play when it released in EA, and I played it for a month. And then the next month when I had more money, I bought it at its full initial sale price. I think it was like $30. Great price for a game. Bought some more games recently. I don't remember exactly which ones. I can't remember. I bought a friend because me and some of my closest friends. We share a Steam family now, and at least two of them have like thousands of games in their library. They have built up a collection on Steam over years. So it's like, man, I barely have to. And Gabe Newell is correct about piracy is a service problem. Because I started pirating video games less once the family sharing thing happened. In fact, my piracy tendencies dwindled to non-existence for a while, and I only picked back up for the sake of data hoarding. For the sake of I bought this game on GOG. I'm gonna keep this game forever in my collection now, and that's also when I started getting into collecting GOG installers. Because they are actually very convenient to have. But it is a service problem, and I will say this. If buying isn't ownership, piracy isn't theft. I'm a firm believer in that. And companies seem to be a firm believer in that lately, too. Because companies are trying to tell you you can't own your games. That you're leasing the right to play them with that purchase. With that one-time initial purchase. Oh, I fucking disagree with that wholeheartedly. But I bought some games recently in the last few years. Indie games, mostly. Well, all indie games, really. Shit, I was planning to like buy Stellar Blade even at the beginning of the month. But while it was still on sale. But a friend of mine who's in the family is like, no, I'm planning to buy that. And I'm like, oh, guess I'm going to buy something else then. That we don't have in the family. But I don't know if I said this before, but quickly, that PS4 is the last real purchase I made. I would go on to buy a PSP either before or after this. I forget which. That would custom mod from a mom and pop shop. I would get my PS3, which is dying, so I put it up for now. From my sister, who was going to throw it away because it just became a paperweight for her that she never used, and modded that. I literally found a new 3DS XL that had some dead pixelation at the bottom of the screen. It's gotten worse in the last several years to a decade that I've had it, but like, holy shit, it's still barely impacting me actually playing the games and enjoying and actually being able to see them. And if it gets really bad, I can just replace the screen. I found that new 3DS XL on top of someone's trash. I was just walking by, and someone was throwing out all of their child's stuff, and there was a new 3DS XL just sitting right on top of a heap of random stuff. So I just took it. I have not paid for any of the shit I have. And if I have, it was from a mom and pop shop. It's all hand me down. It's all been hand me downs, and I make it work because I don't need things to be shiny and new. I can make them work and just the way I want them to, and I can work with that. Nowadays, like I said, I keep my head in the sand, keep them under my rock, deeply buried. But nowadays, every time I poke out, I'm hearing more and more. They're shoving LGBT stuff in video games. They're shoving political agendas in video games. They're fucking up your favorite franchises. I have not touched a single Saints Row game in my life, but I want to get in that franchise. I even want to, even if people say it's a knockoff GTA clone, I want to play the first Saints Row, which is an Xbox 360 exclusive. Probably one of the only 360 exclusives I think are worth at least trying to play. And I want to go through them all the way up to 4, I think it was. I don't remember if there's a 5th one. And then they did that really shitty reboot. That really shitty reboot game where the developers or head developer or whatever it was openly stated, "Yeah, I'm happy to own the chuds. I'm happy, all you fucking gamers." By the way, I love how companies and people nowadays are using that like they're saying the N-word, like they're calling you the N-word. They say that shit online on social media with the cadence of it being a fucking slur in how they refer to you as a gamer. Like they think you're beneath them. They think you're less than. Has anybody ever noticed that? They call you it like it's a derogatory term, like you're a shitty, like you're less than them. And don't get me wrong, it's not like it's news to me. I've known companies haven't given a shit about their customers for a long time. But the guy behind that shitty Saints Row reboot, he openly admits, "Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Only loser gamers hate on my game." And hey, guess what? The game bombed. Studio closed down. Either people are out of jobs or they scuttled on to other parts of the industry. Probably the latter in some cases. Seems to happen more often than I'd like it to, at least. Instead of actually being out of job and going to that McDonald's lineup that I'd want them to, no, some of these people just get hired in other studios and get more chances to fuck up your games. But what fascinated me, there's something that fascinated me. I'm going to talk about it in a bit. I got to leave and do some stuff. But I got my notes right here. So, started doing a little bit of research. And I have some notes. I usually just, wing it. But I have some notes, and I'm going to have to read off of them for some of the numbers. On April 8th, 2025, Microsoft's Compulsion Games released South of Midnight, a third-person action-adventure game with a focus on Deep South mythos. It hit an all-time peak of 1,438 players immediately, a number which dwindled over time. In June of 2026, it was announced that Compulsion Games would be shutting down.
The studio's legacy was only 3 games. 2013's Contrast, 2018's We Happy Few, and 2025's South of Midnight. Now, some of the stuff I'm reading off here isn't just AAA, obviously. There are indie games here. There's what you could call AA as well here. A lot of what what I looked at is stuff that's been released in the last few months or so, this year in particular. But this jumped to my attention because a bit over a year later, and this month actually, Microsoft's like, yeah, they're part of the layoffs. Compulsion Games shutting down. They only made 3 games. Now, I haven't played We Happy Few yet. I intend to, because I am still interested in it. But one thing I heard from a few different people is it was advertised as a BioShock-like game. Now, I don't know if that's true. I learned about We Happy Few from a Ross Scott video. So I don't know if that's true or not. Can't say one way or the other. I still have an interest in it, and even the people that said that they were misled and it wasn't a BioShock-like game said it was a fine game. Just not what they were advertised at first, according to them. That's the one I really give a shit about. Don't care about Contrast. Don't care about South of Midnight. South of Midnight came out, and because I'm a lifelong Floridian, I just kind of had to do it. I started cracking jokes at one of my friends saying, "It's my boy, Two-Toe Tom." But that's about the only thing I really cared about. There was a giant gator boss in the game. That was kind of cool, and it was shown off in the trailer. But honestly, I didn't really give a shit about it. Apparently, not a lot of other people did either. On May 12th, on May 12th, 2026, Supermassive Games released Directive 8020. It hit an all-time player peak of 3,000, and I think I wrote that down right, 3,072 players. That same day, which dwindled steadily until it went down into the double digits. This is all stuff I looked into this month, by the way. Like, I went to the SteamDB charts for everything up to this month. Their Dark Pictures series includes November 2022's The Devil in Me, peaking at 3,599 players. October 2021's House of Ashes, peaking at 4,578 players. October 2020's Little Hope, peaking at 4,997 players. And August 2019's Man of Medan, peaking at 4,518 players. But if you actually look at the overall games, you find that Little Nightmares 3, you find Little Nightmares 3 with a player peak of 22,653. It becomes clear what fans want. Now, this is where I say I have not touched a Dark Pictures game in my life, but I did see a Let's Play of Until Dawn, and I know. Oh, you saw a Let's Play of it. That's different. Well, not really, actually. See, back when the Super Best Friends were still together, I watched their Let's Play of Until Dawn. I was rather entertained by it. I liked their commentary. But speaking of the game itself, this is one of those few times where I feel like I can say my experience watching them play the game, even not just set aside their commentary, set that to the side. My experience watching them play the game was no different than I'm confident is no different than the experience I'd get playing the game. It is a straight narrative, largely cinematic story. It is what I've seen. I've seen my boy Fleek even say this kind of term, and I've started, adopting it myself. It is a movie game, not a video game. If any of the Dark Pictures games are like that, I don't really have much interest in them. Even looking at the ratings, Man of Medan is 75.37% positive. Little Hope is 72.70% positive. House of Ashes is 86.51% positive. But then The Devil in Me, the last one to release before Directive 8020, is 54.62% positive, and Directive 8020 is only a small improvement at 61.63% positive. So that's going down. It's going down. Less and less people are interested, and something's going on. They don't like the games as much. This was interesting. Now, this one interested me. This is an indie game developed by Nyama. Relooted was released in February of 2026 and is developed and published by Nyama. It is the second game he developed. He made a really cool looking platformer game. It's probably in the notes. It is described as an African futurist heist game where you reclaim real African artifacts from Western museums. It hit its all-time player peak of 57 players the day of its release, February 10th, and no one even plays it now. It doesn't seem worth the $14.99 price tag. Yeah, I forgot to even talk about prices up until this point in my little bit of research. What fascinates me is Nyama has a previously released game, Semblance, which released all the way back in July of 2018, so yeah, about a decade ago. Now, Steam's store page listed as being published by Good Shepherd Entertainment, but clicking it takes you to Nyama page. Oh, I skipped a page here. Instead, while it also has a low all-time player peak at 63, it seems like a neat little indie title, more interesting than Relooted with no politics in it. Now, this is something I didn't write down, so I'm pulling this from memory. I took a look at the reviews for Relooted, and it sounded interesting in one respect. Across multiple reviews, a commonality I found was that the player among the small assortment of players that did actually play and like the game, a lot of them talked about the three phases. So you have a prep phase, a heist phase, and an escape phase. And a lot of them were talking. The biggest commonality I found was a lot of them were talking about how the escape phase, the prep phase is super important. And if you do the prep phase well enough, then you zoom through the escape phase like Sonic the Hedgehog. And I get that kind of thing. I understand it completely. It's you set up you do the perfect setup. You try to do the perfect setup you can. You're as prepared as possible. It doesn't matter what genre of game you're playing. You try to prepare yourself as much as possible. And then you pull it off. You pull off what you're doing. You get the big dopamine rush. The feel-good chemicals flood in your brain. You have that sense of euphoria. I experienced that feeling just 2 days ago, when I finally beat the super boss of the latest Deltarune chapter. Just barely, mind you. I was one more hit and I would have died. Just barely, but I did it. So I get where they're coming from, but again, it seems like not a lot of people care about it. And even disregarding the fact that I don't really care about it, and I'm definitely not the target audience for it, being a poor white boy from South Florida. You know, despite that, I set that aside. What actually I was thinking when I was looking at this game, to go off script a bit and from these notes, is I was thinking about another. While I was looking at this game, I was thinking, man, there's another game I'd rather play than this, and I started remembering it. Several years ago, I played a game called Thief Simulator, and that game was fucking great. One thing I've noticed is, as I've gotten older, I've started getting more and more interested in simulator games. I wonder what's up with that. I actually saw a Metacritic stream recently where he even said the same thing. That he's been having a lot of fun playing a game called Retro Rewind, where you're in charge of a videotape store, VHS store, and That sounds cool. I'm gonna add that to the video game backlog notebook. But so I feel like I kind of want to do some research into that. See, like, is that a commonality as people grow older? Do they gravitate more towards simulation games? It might be worth. Yeah, I feel like it's worth looking into. But I thought about Thief Simulator. And it's a great game. So you have an out of town hideout. You drive into town. You case the neighborhood. You case houses, individual houses. Find what you want to hit. And you go in. Sometimes the people are home. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes the doors are locked. Sometimes they're not. And I don't remember this, but I think in your upgrades, you do get the ability to pick locks. But the whole point is, you don't want to get caught. You want to go in. I also don't remember if the people could come home while you're in their house or not. That I don't remember at all. If that was an actual mechanic, that's insane for this. But I don't remember if it was or not. So let's just set that aside for now. You go in, you steal stuff, you take it out by hand, and put it in the trunk of your car. And if the cops get called on you, or if they notice you and they try to come after you, you got to run. Now, if you have time, you can get in your car, you can haul ass out of the neighborhood, and they'll take you back to your out of town hideout, and you're safe, you're scot free. But they'll try to pursue you on wheel just as much as on foot. So if you don't think you can make it, your best bet is to hide. You can hide in dumpsters. You can try to hide out of sight, away from them, until they and basically just hide until they fuck off. And you go back to your hideout, and you can get upgrades. Now, I've seen people. I think I saw people recently saying like they don't want to play games where they're criminals. I think this might have been that server where everyone was overly sensitive. I've talked about it. I think I've even named it. I'm pretty sure I even named it in my last video I uploaded. But I saw people saying like, I don't want to play games where you're a criminal. No, that shit's fucking fun sometimes though. And it's fantasy. Who cares? But I thought about that game. I was like, you know what? I never finished it. I played a few hours of it, and that was it. But it was so fun. It was so much fun. I think I'd rather play that than this game. That's what I was thinking when I looked at Reloaded. And that's an indie. I think it's like an indie game from, God, almost like around a decade ago. So these are the numbers. 1348. I could never remember what those numbers were off the top of my head. 1348 Ex Voto was released on March 12th, 2026. It had an all-time player peak the same day of 427 players. 7 in the last 24 hours on this date, 6/25/2026. It has a rating of 54% positive across several hundred reviews. It is the only game developed by its creator, Sedlio. And I remember, and I didn't write this part down, but a lot of these reviews were talking about how bad the game felt to play, how jank and kind of buggy it was, how tedious the fighting was. I think some stuff about the story and narrative and jumping around so much not making sense. Affiliate, released on April 28th, 2026, reached its all-time player peak the same day of 219 players, is priced at $29.99 and has a 62% positive rating out of a few hundred reviews. It was made by Don't Nod of Life is Strange fame. So this one, we're not talking about a small-time studio. Okay? We're talking about the people that made Life is Strange. Now, I've never played Life is Strange. From what I've heard from numerous people, it got real shitty by a certain point. And personally, I have no interest in those games. But they also made Vampire with a Y back in 2018. A critically acclaimed and well-received hit with a 76% positive rating across almost 9,000 reviews. An all-time player peak of 16,120, with 247 still recorded in-game in the past 24 hours on 6/25/2026. You have triple digits For your game that is almost a decade fucking old, you got triple-digit players still in the game as of now. You did something good there. I want to play Vampire. I do want to check that out. I forgot that I actually was interested in it a few years back. I just completely forgot about it. This made me remember, like, yeah, it seems like a really cool vampire game. Oh yeah, I even bothered to write down one of the reviews. After finishing the game in a bit under 6 hours, I can't help but feel this is Don't Nod's weakest attempt at breaking out of their narrative-focused game comfort zone. And now now this tells me why I particularly don't give a shit about Life is Strange. So the bulk of their work is narrative-based games. With Life is Strange, that's what gets them the good numbers. And that's what they do well, apparently, at least to some degree, from what I am, as far as I'm aware. Going by the overall reviews, this definitely appears to be the general sentiment. Alright, here we go. On May 21st, 2026, Luna Abyss came out, published by Quali and developed by Quali Labs. But while it received mostly positive reviews, it reached an all-time player peak of 317. Now, it looks very interesting. It looks like a very interesting game. All right? And there's been a lot of... And now, here's one thing. I found out about this, among other games, by just listening to Rev Says Desu videos. And when I actually looked into it, something I noticed was... there were people that had a problem with... one of the main issues with the game is there's a scene that involves correcting someone on one's pronouns. And that kind of shit feels very forced. If I remember right, it's a being that is basically either from just appearances alone, is some kind of spirit or demon correcting on pronoun usage. I would think that spirits or demons wouldn't fucking give a shit about pronoun usage. Now, if I remember right, if you take the Rev Says Desu video at face value, he puts forth a narrative that a lot of people didn't like this pronoun thing and voted with their wallets. But there is a deeper layer here that he doesn't discuss because he focuses on what he focuses on. I went into it a bit, looked through the reviews, and I saw that there was something deeper. No matter how pretty this game looks to me on paper at face value through the sample screenshots and videos, quite a few of the reviews I saw for Luna Abyss said that the gameplay felt bad. The gameplay was jank. It didn't feel like it was particularly well made and put together, well optimized. So there were a lot of people that very likely had a problem with the pronoun thing, but there were also a lot of people who had a problem with the game at the core level of it being a game. With the game as a game. They're like, this game kind of sucks. Now, I can actually correlate this with something else. So a few months back, a friend of mine introduced me to a game I still haven't played yet called The Coin Game. And if I remember the basic premise of The Coin Game, you're on an island, you have it, I think I remember, you have it all to yourself, and it's littered with shops and arcades and all these kinds of places. And the idea is you go to the arcades, you play the games, you earn prizes, you earn money on the side, and you use that money to do stuff like go buy food at stores. Otherwise, you go hungry. It's, in a way, it's like a survival sandbox arcade simulation game. Question mark? And that does sound fascinating to me. I really want to check that out. Now, everyone loved this game, and it was, to my knowledge, fucking incredible all the way up until 1.0. When the 1.0 full release happened, Quali came in. Quali came in as the publisher, and people were bitching up a storm post 1.0. The game is horribly optimized, nothing works, even the physics are fucked up. Even walking isn't even walking. Even the act of walking in this video game isn't functioning properly. And one thing I looked into suggested that the game was rebuilt from the ground up when Quali got involved. Something that was unnecessary, as the game, to my knowledge at this point, was mostly done in terms of its content by the 0.9 something whatever version. So it was entirely unnecessary, and they completely fucked the game up. But there was a second thing. Now, the first thing is my main concern. That's my main concern. But there's a second thing. Some of the reviews, not very many, pointed out that when Quali got involved as the publisher, there was a change they saw in the EULA, the End User License Agreement. And one of these new changes involved you consenting to them harvesting your data. Now, I don't know how true that is. I didn't look into it. I'm not reading a whole fucking EULA on this shit. I've decided ultimately on an alternative path. I went and downloaded a version 0.9 build of the game. Fuck off. I am not dealing with potential data harvesting, but even if that's not true, the game seems to be completely fucking borked in the 1.0 version, and to the point that reviews after 1.0 are suggesting just play a pre-1.0 build, and you'll have a better time. If you get the game, roll it back to a legacy build, and you'll have a good time. So, with that in mind, this was May 21st, 2026, that Luna Abyss came out. Just to repeat that. With that in mind, I don't have hopes of Luna Abyss being very well optimized. Because not only is it published by Quali, it was developed by Quali Labs, a subsidiary of them. And let me see if I can... Oh, I didn't write it down. Okay, I didn't write this part down. I don't remember the exact date then, but since the May 21st release of Luna Abyss, Quali announced they are shutting down Quali Labs. And those people are probably out of jobs or going to other parts of the industry. Here's a fun one. Here is a fun one. This has not much to do with everything I've been saying. On that same day I checked this, the 25th of this month, I decided to check the 24-hour all-time peaks for Destiny 2 and Marathon. 92,077 players in the 24-hour period on 6/25/2026 in Destiny 2. 9,131 in Marathon. That's about it for those notes. So, my point here is, for that one, is there are people who are still fans of Marathon. I mean, Marathon, sorry. Well, there are people who are fans of the old Marathon, yeah. But there are people who are still fans of Destiny 2. Me, I played it. I really liked it. I fell off, though. I didn't want to keep playing it. I moved on to some other stuff. It is what it is. But there are still fans of Destiny 2. It was a fine enough game. My main concern and drop-off point was them removing content. I heard that they removed content while moving forward with other later content, and I wasn't a fan of that. So this content can no longer be experienced or played. Got it. And if I want to experience it now, I better get on that fucking bandwagon. Better hop on before it's too late. No, I didn't feel any urgency at all. I said, fuck it, I'm just not going to play it anymore. I wasn't a fan of that, but there are still fans of Destiny 2. There are still people that don't want. Now, I've seen conflicting things, and here's where I got to admit something. I just don't fucking care. Personally, me, I just don't care. All right, but I didn't bother getting my information completely straight. But I heard that they're planning to shut Marathon down. I'm not Marathon. They're planning to shut. I keep mixing them up. They're planning to shut Destiny 2 down in favor of Marathon. I've seen people saying you're all idiots. They never said anything about shutting Destiny 2 down. So I don't know what's what, but I'll say this: if they are shutting Destiny 2 down and hoping the Destiny 2 players go to Marathon, that they all might like that. That's what I feel like would be the thing they would do is shut down Destiny 2 and hope the massive amount of players playing Destiny 2 all migrate to Marathon. No, a lot of those people are playing Destiny 2 even now in protest. They don't want to migrate to Marathon. They don't want Marathon. They want Destiny 2. They want Destiny 3. But nah, you're gonna get Marathon. We turned one of the oldest FPS series in the world into a fucking extraction shooter. And the idea of extraction shooters, they kind of vibe with me. Nardanaya Solyanka OP2, my Stalker mod I get so autistic about, is in some cases gets kind of extraction shootery, where you decide what your loadout is going into a piece of content in the game, and you gotta basically hoard like a motherfucker, make stashes, and then just carry that stuff back with you bit by bit, even if you gotta do it in shifts, back to whatever main hideout you have to store all your loot in, all your gear in, your ammo, your supply, excess ammo and supplies. So when I basically found out that's basically what an extraction was, I'm like, okay, I might vibe with it then, but I don't really like the idea of turning Marathon into an extraction shooter. And I haven't played the original Marathon games, and I want to at some point, just to experience them. But yeah. So I'm sure there are actual fans of the original like Marathon games that are also moaning about this, just as there are Destiny 2 fans that are moaning about this. Not a lot of people really want the new Marathon. I'm sure there's VTubers and streamers and all this shit that are streaming it and like it and enjoy it, sure. But not a lot of people really want Marathon. We live in a world where hundreds of millions of people play video games. Now, I don't think there's any video game. I don't think almost any video game has ever captured like 100 million players. There's a few I'm sure that I just ain't thinking about right now in this empty head of mine, but my point is, I looked at Palworld on SteamDB. I think it was a week after it released in early access. It hit its all-time player peak up until now, I think, of millions of players in the few million player count. And I'm gonna bet you that when 1.0 releases, it's gonna shatter those numbers, because you have people that are not only returning Palworld fans. By the way, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, playing it even right now, which is fucking insane. The hell was that? And sounded like something was flying just overhead. Anyway, so I think that's a good number. You got millions of people to play your game. You have thousands, if not tens of thousands of people playing your game still today.
Hang on.
Okay, it was just I don't know I couldn't even see what it was. It was like a jet engine, like really close for some sounding for some reason. Like it sounded more like a shuttle taking off than anything. But anyway, there's a lot of Destiny 2 fans, Marathon fans that just don't like this. And I don't know. They're Bungie and Sony. They're just pushing for it. You know, it was through a lot of this too. So I say I usually stay unplugged, and stuff I'm about to go into is a big part of why. All right. I paid some attention. I get some gaming stuff through Rev Says Desu, but I pay attention to some of the stuff he shows off. And again, I say this all the time. The big thing with Rev Says Desu is he may farm drama. He may hype some stuff up occasionally, but everything he says, he shows proof for. He shows a picture of a post, a tweet. He shows a video showing what he's telling you isn't bullshit. I found out about the Pragmata stuff after Pragmata came out. Particularly thanks to Hassan, old enough to count, old enough to mount Piker. I swear, I still don't know a lot about this guy, but every time I find out new stuff, it's fucking awful. First, I find out he shocks his dog. Then there's the stuff where he's obsessed over Pragmata, calling gamers incel losers that should never think about, getting with a woman and starting a family. They should focus on what will actually matter to them, as if he knows what matters to us. Then I find out he did this thing called bro tips way back in the day, where he would literally talk incredibly misogynistic shit about women. About like if you're a woman with if you're a young lady with daddy issues, I'll pick you up in a bar. I'll be there to pick you up at a bar to pound you on the first night. Like, huh? And then the fucking old enough to count, old enough to mount shit. Hassan Piker's like Brofessor arc was. I only found out about it recently and saw some salvage stuff from that. And holy shit, it was so fucking cringe. Every time I learn something new about this man, every time I learn something new, he is more of a clown. So, thanks to Hassan Piker, this got a lot more eyes on it than I think it would have otherwise, because he was really bitching about it. A lot of people, I don't know anything about Pragmata, Media Blackout and all, I just know as a... I saw from... What I know is what I saw in the trailer, and it has a player character that kind of feels to me like he's like an Isaac from Dead Space kind of dude. And you got this child android called Diana. I don't even remember the other main character's name, I'll be real. There were people on Twitter complaining. Shitting up a storm over this character in the weirdest way. And it was all like, why is this such a weirdly sexualized child? And I'm like, huh? That's a fully clothed childlike android character. Like, huh? What are you talking about? Why is she so sexualized? What weirded me out the most was I went down this rabbit hole. One of the people that were bitching about Pragmata specifically decided to focus on a bit where Diana had bare feet. And the main reason I remember that is because I swear I'm remembering this correctly. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I swear I'm remembering this correctly. I saw an article, a game journalist article, because of course we can all trust game journalists, right? Using that tweet and reframing it to paint it as if this was a pro Pragmata fan who was lusting after this child character's feet, and it's like, you are really trying your best here to be as fucked up as possible about this, aren't you? Again, if I'm misremembering entirely, I'm so fucking wrong, but like that's what I remember. That was a weird rabbit hole to go down. And then, of course, Stellar Blade BloodRayne's trailer comes out. And I remember seeing, before this, I remember seeing some stuff where Shift Up announced it was leaving Sony. I'm like, good. I haven't played Stellar Blade yet. I plan to play it soon. A friend of mine is buying it, I believe, while it's still on sale for our Steam family. But what I do remember is there was some level of censorship. And I don't want to be one of those guys that bitches about, oh, they covered a boob window up. I gotta protest, but like, I genuinely don't like it. I know about Shift Up plenty. I'm a huge fan of their game Nikke. I plan to play Stellar Blade. I know that the CEO's wife does some of their character designs and draws a lot of really busty fucking women. I know all about this shit. So I just don't like it when they get with Sony and Sony's like, no, you gotta change some stuff in Stellar Blade or we can't have your game on our platform. When Stellar Blade came out, I was telling all my friends, it ain't staying a PS5 exclusive. They know where their audience is, they know where their money is. I will put chips on the fucking table. It is not staying PS5 exclusive. Guess what? It did. It came to PC. And now BloodRayne's definitely going to be on PC because they left Sony. But when they announced they left Sony, I just don't like people like, you know, they had a way they wanted to do the game and they had to make changes for Sony's for their own sake on Sony's demand, and I'm not a fan of that. If that means I'm bitching about boob windows being censored, that means I'm bitching about boob windows being censored. I don't care. They announced they're leaving Sony, and I saw people tweeting all kinds of shit like, man, good luck without Sony, or, oh, you're just leaving Sony so you can make more Gooner games where players play as sex dolls, and I'm just like, you guys are fucking stupid. You're retarded. They don't need Sony. They did not need Sony. I don't think they ever needed Sony, personally. And they're breaking away from Sony now because they realize it's going to hamper their vision for their next game. It's going to hamper how they want their next game to be. Even if it's some minute detail, it doesn't fucking matter. So, they leave Sony. BloodRayne trailer comes out. All these people, all this usual crowd are bitching up a storm. She looks like she's 12. She's so childlike. Why is she such a sexualized child? And I'm just sitting there thinking, why is that the first fucking thing you go to? She has a form-fitting, skin-tight, stark white plug suit, skin suit type thing on her. She looks hot as fuck. Sure, maybe she's got a bit of a baby face. That's an Asian thing. Asian people look fucking young. So what? You're gonna tell me this is a problem now? But this is this hot, smoking tomboy chick. Short hair, kind of short height. You know, smoking hot tomboy chick, and the first thing you see looking at her is, oh, a sexualized, it's a sexy child. What is wrong with you? I don't give a shit if you're protesting about it. The fact that the first thing you think of is that's an over-sexualized child is so fucking stupid. We had people coming out doing cosplays of Eve, doing their makeup up to make themselves look like her. An interesting thing is I saw a Leaflet stream talking about this probably about a week or two ago, where she actually went into detail about something I never considered, about how Asians do their makeup differently than people we here in the West do. So I believe it. Something I never considered. Different cultures probably have different ways of doing makeup. But I went through this BloodRayne shit. I was also exposed to stuff I kept my head in the sand about
didn't know anything much of anything about back when Stellar Blade released. A lot of the people that are saying Eevee looks like a child now are a lot of the same people that were bitching that Eve looked like a child back then. And one particular thing I remember finding out this last month is that there was a game journalist working for IG in France who even wormed into his article something along the lines of, if you think Eve from Stellar Blade, not Eevee, Eve, if you think Eve is sexually attractive, you have likely never felt the touch of a real woman. And then it comes out, and this is if I have my information correctly, it comes out that not only did a real person get used as the model scanned in for Eve, the only thing they changed was her face. The body is, to my knowledge, the same body of a real-life Asian woman. And not only is it an actual person they used as the model, it's an actual model they used as the actual model. That, if I remember correctly, worked for Korea Maxim. And she did a stream with a friend or a coworker or some shit. She did a stream with like one or two other women involved. Saw the article live on stream and laughed at it and mocked this man and said that she thinks he never felt the touch of a woman. Now, if I'm remembering what I've looked into correctly, that is basically it. But yes, it is very interesting, contradictory shit there. And of course, there's actual blatant racism. Oh, well, Asians look younger naturally, so it's too problematic. So it's problematic that they look young? Younger than their age? I saw people posting stuff on Twitter saying they fixed Eevee by making her look older and haggard, and it's like, you just made her uglier, dude. What the fuck? I saw this one guy on Twitter, all he would do is respond to everyone commenting to him with, it doesn't change that she has the face of a 12-year-old. Dude, she's a 12-year-old. Dude, she looks like a 12-year-old. He would say nothing but variances of those sentences over and over ad nauseum. It was so fucking painful to look at. You see what I mean, by the way, when I announced in that online Discord video, online discourse video, that I need to really unplug, because I've been looking at this shit more and more, and I'm like, this is fucking insane. I want to go back to not knowing about any of this. So, all this bullshit. And what fucking astounded me. Now, I don't have exact specific examples. I can't say, one to one, this same person said this thing back then. But the same general crowd, from what I've been seeing, the same general crowd of people bitching about how young Eevee looks is the same general crowd that were bitching that Eve looked too young when Stellar Blade came out. And they're now saying, well, at least Eve looked like an adult. But they're not just saying that. No, they're saying very explicitly, like, well, at least Eve sort of, kind of could... I saw posts even saying shit like this. Like, at least Eve could sort of, kind of pass for an 18 to 20-year-old. This shit's inexcusable, though. She looks like a kid. And I'm just... And the reason that I knew immediately, the reason I'm seeing posts like this is these are people that didn't want to admit Eve was an adult back then. So what they're doing is they're being very semantic about it. They're very ever so slightly skirting the line by like, oh, maybe, just ever so slightly, just kind of, sort of, a little bit, Eve could potentially pass for a woman just entering adulthood. Because they didn't want to just come out and say, yeah, so she is an adult. We were just fucking bitching and crying for no reason. They didn't want to come out and admit that. So they have to be really semantic and really, like, very specific about it. Just ever so slightly putting that toe over that line. Just a fraction of an inch. Because they don't want to just come out and admit it was all bullshit. I think Stellar Blade Blood Rain's gonna do fucking great. I think they're gonna make more sales with Stellar Blades because it's on sale now. It's on sale, 40 bucks instead of being 60. I was gonna buy it at full price until I found out, oh, it's on sale. I'm only paying 40 bucks. Oh, my friend's gonna buy it instead for the Steam family. I'll go buy something else that I'm interested in. To add to the family so we can all play it if we ever want to, and I can play it myself. I've seen people on Twitter blaming gamers, and I want to say this up front. I forget if I mentioned this yet in this rant. I've been seeing the word gamer being thrown around like it's a slur, like it's a derogatory term. You fucking incel gamer. Like they're calling you the N-word, like they're seeing you as less than them. One of those multiple examples I brought up earlier from my notes. I saw some tweets related to that stuff, and there were people. So it was one of the ones where the studio closed down, or is going to close down, and people were mocking them online, like, "Yeah, get in line at McDonald's, boy." By the way, that I don't want to be pessimistic, but I feel like some of these people are just going to end up working somewhere else in the games industry. It doesn't matter how small of a position it is, they're going to find some work somewhere where they can continue trying to shit up video games, but hopefully not. Hopefully they do end up in the McDonald's line, and people that actually, love video games can work on stuff. But I saw people like ridiculing this, and then other people coming like, "Get out of here, your gamer voice has no place here." It's like, well, their gamer wallet does, because they voted with their wallet. The game did poorly, and now people are out of work because they delivered a product people didn't want. I'm not trying to be that it's just business kind of person. And I feel like this is something I might have said in my vlog 2 months ago. But at the end of the day, you're making both a video game, but also you're making a work of art, a video game, but you're also making a product that you're trying to sell. And you're not successful if you don't sell. If your game doesn't sell. There are people I've seen who make video games just for the sake of making them. I've never touched Balatro yet, but I've talked to a friend of mine about this guy, the guy behind it. This guy literally has made so many indie titles because he just likes making games. He has made games just for his friends to play, or just for him to play, or both. The guy that made Balatro, he just loves making games. The guy, Team Cherry, making Hollow Knight, or Hollow Knight Silksong, they released Silksong, and they had to come out and admit, if we didn't just finally put some brakes on and actually finish the game, we could have been developing this game for so much longer because we were having so much fun making it. The people behind Expedition 33 were people that made the game they wanted to play, and it turned out it was a game a lot of us wanted to play too. If I remember right, there was something about like the lead dev literally, the main reason, like one of the main reasons parrying is such a big thing in that game is because either part of the dev team or the lead dev or something is fucking insanely into stuff like DMC parry mechanics. They made games that they make games they want to make. Concerned Ape making Stardew Valley. He made the game he wanted to make. And last I checked, he's still making updates for Stardew Valley before moving on to Chocolate Atelier, I think it's called. These people love making games. But because they love making these games and they put out games that so many other people love, because it's like they get it. You know, it's like they get it. They're gamers. They know what they want in a video game. They make the game they want. They release it. So many of the rest of us want it. We buy it, and congratulations, they've made a success. There you go. There's an example. They've made a successful product that sells for a lot of money. But there are so many people in the industry that I feel like don't get that. Whether it's in AAA, AA, indie, it seems to be even in indie now. It's crazy. To be fair, it's been in indie for a while. I remember seeing this is an oldie, and I don't remember the name of the game, but some people listening to this might vaguely remember what I'm talking about. So there was this game that got released that bombed like shit on Steam. It was an overhead top-down like survival horror type game, but it was so dog shit. The graphics fucking sucked. The gameplay fucking sucked. It was low effort. It was completely low effort. No love put into it. Trash. And people called it out as such. So what the developer did was he took the game down, but he left the store page up, and he replaced the store page. He replaced the sample images in the store page with sample images containing a shit emoji, pointing that this is what gamers are. And I think some of the sample images might have had some rantings of his about how toxic we are. And then he just fucked off. It's like, no, you've never made a video game before. This is the very first video game you've ever made. You're coming into the gaming scene, into the indie gaming scene, with your dick swinging out like you're hot shit. You produce a piece of trash, and people tell you it's a piece of trash that you put no effort into making, and you blame us and say we're toxic, while acting like a baby over it. It was a wild fucking incident to behold, by the way. It was insane. And this was from, I want to say, 10 to 15 years ago? So this shit has been in indie games for quite a while. It just feels like it's more prevalent now than it used to be, I guess. Maybe. But my point is, if you want to be successful, you got to make a game people are going to want to play. Like I already said, Palworld 1.0 is coming out on the fucking 10th. That game, chips on the table, I bet you, is going to surpass its previous all-time player peak. I don't even remember if I said... No, I said why. I think I said some of why. Because you're going to have returning players. Oh yeah, I got to start saying like how many players they have even now in a 24-hour peak. You have returning players that played it in early access. You have players that are like me that are continuing to play it on and off, even in early access. And then you have a group of people that haven't shown their faces yet. The players that chose not to touch it until it actually comes out of early access. My best friend is like this. Palworld's like one of the only times he made an exception to this rule. He never touches a game in early access. So there's people, I'm sure, that have never even touched this game, that are going to be getting and playing it on 1.0. And it's going to probably be, and I guarantee you, if it's not already on sale, it's going to be on sale when 1.0 releases for a good price. And I don't even, and again, if I remember right, that was a $30 price tag at full price. So many people are that have never touched that game are gonna buy it. You're gonna see the numbers skyrocket for all-time player peak when 1.0 comes out. That's a successful game. My brain just switched back to Vampire. The fact that you can have in the few hundreds of people still playing your almost decade-old fucking game on a 24-hour peak means that you have made a game people want to play. And then Don't Nod comes out with this fucking garbage that a lot of people don't want. Almost a decade later. And like a few months ago, just almost a decade later. Like, come on. I said this back in the AAA video, but I'm too cracked out to say right now. Let's say after Palworld comes out, after 1.0 comes out, all right. No more games are no, Palworld's a game that's already out that's being worked on. Let's say no more new games come out. Whatever's in early access is in early access, and maybe it gets worked on some more. Let's say no new games come out. Oh, boo fucking who. I have a whole backlog of console games to emulate that I've never touched, that I want to play. There's all kinds of... I give way too much benefit of the doubt, admittedly. I want to see what the best stuff I can find is on any given console. Even shit like the Wonder Swan and Virtual Boy. I have a whole backlog of PC games that I want to go through. And even if I'm old and gray, and I finally complete the backlog, and I got some time left in me, a decade or two left in my life, well, shit. I could play Palworld, I could play Ellen, I could play Siralum Ultimate, I could play all those simulation games that I was talking about. I could play... Oh, God, there's games that I haven't touched yet that I do want to check out, like Do It Night Abyss, Crimson Desert. Those games I could feel like I could really sink my teeth into and play ad nauseum for a long, long time. I could play that shit. And be fucking content. Hell, this is really autistic as shit. I showed it to some friends of mine yesterday even. I got back into playing Monster Quest Paradox. Why? Why would I do that when I've already beaten the game since its release? Well, because I can keep working on characters and equip them how I want, give them the abilities I want, max them out in races and classes I want, and make my favorite characters gods. So what if it's autistic as shit and a little bit and even with the most optimized method, a bit tedious? Who fucking cares? It satisfies me. It makes me feel good. I got all kinds of stuff I could do. And that's just in the realm of video games, nothing to say. Anime, movies, TV shows, books. I almost said audiobooks, but I guess books and audiobooks kind of go hand in hand. You know, all that kind of stuff. I got my entertainment for the rest of my life. Even if gaming stopped, not today, but after Palworld came out. I'm sorry, I need Palworld 1.0. Please, Pocket Bear, give it to me. I'd be just fine. I stopped playing Halo at, believe Halo 3. Played, Halo ODST. And that game was fun in its own right. But I stopped playing Halo relatively, or a bit early in. I'd say after a few titles. I stopped playing Fable. At Fable, I'll be honest, I played Fable 3 and I wasn't really a fan of it. I much prefer Fable 1 and 2. Fuck anything else they did after that. And fuck Fable 2 being an Xbox 360 exclusive. I played, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I really liked when I was playing games on the GameCube, I really liked Animal Crossing. I think I mentioned that in our recording. It got me into, furniture, customizing your house, your furniture, all that good shit. It was my gateway drug into that stuff. Fable 2, you could buy furniture. You could own every property in the game. You could be a rich as fuck landlord, and you could customize the furniture in the house. And I would customize it, because more expensive furniture meant, hey, you're paying me more money. At least I think it did, if I'm remembering right. The best of the best. Only the best of the best for my tenants who are paying me money. But point is, I largely stopped enjoying Fable at Fable 2 and stopped playing it at Fable 3. I uh, stopped at like Halo 3, Halo ODST, if you want to be a bit more semantic. And I liked ODST. I haven't played a Deus Ex game past Invisible War, but I'm sure Human Revolution and Mankind Divided are fun in their own way, and I do intend to play them. That one I will give it to. But last I checked, Halo wasn't that. Halo kind of fell off. Uh, and you might have noticed the thumbnail I'm using for my video. Yeah, I got that from one of the servers I'm in. It looked pretty good. Cute elf chick, GTA style. I've only played one GTA game in my entire fucking life, and that was San Andreas. And I had fun with that, but even I have to admit, it was an empty world. You go around looking for stuff. It's an empty fucking world, though. I mean, yeah, you get all the tags. I replayed the game on PC. I lost the saves though, I think. But I replayed it on a previous PC I had. I played the shit out of it on the Xbox, beat it on the Xbox back in the day. Played that shit on PC a few years ago with this old pirated copy I got. And got all the dog tags so I could have good weapons and money coming my way at the house. Did a bunch of the missions, like, you know, the taxi and the thief missions for Infinite Sprint, taxi and ambulance and police missions, yada yada yada. That shit was fun to do. Point is, I had a lot of fun with that. Now, my best friend, he says, if you've played one GTA game, you played them all. But I said to my friends, you know, in a VC recently, you know what? Now that GTA 6 is finally coming out, I think it's time I get off my ass and play Vice City. Got a good laugh from them. I was half joking but half serious. I don't really give a shit about GTA 6. But maybe it's time I play Vice City. Maybe one of these days I should just play Vice City. Fire that shit up on a PS2 emulator, baby. You know, they released that quote-unquote remaster and delisted the GTA games. It makes me glad. I don't remember if they put them back or not, but it makes me glad that I maintain my offline collection. It makes me glad I have my old pirated copy of GTA San Andreas, because fuck Rockstar for what they tried to do with that remaster. And then I find out today that what they're doing with GTA 6, you're paying $80. You're paying $80. You want the physical edition? Too bad, fucko. You're paying $100 for that, and it's a box with a code in it. And what you're paying for the deluxe edition is you get exclusive in-game content. Missions, cars, haircuts, skins, whatever the fuck. And it's like, oh, so you've been working on this shit for a fucking decade. You've been tugging our balls this whole time, Rockstar. And our reward for our wait and our wallets is we get to give you a whopping $80 fucking dollars for a game, for an incomplete game, and we got to pay you 20 extra for the complete version of it. Because that don't sound like a deluxe edition to me. That more sounds like GTA 6 Complete Edition. GTA 6, but we give you the content you don't get if you pay $80. You know what I think? I think Rockstar gets too much leeway. I think there's too many people that suck that company's dick. I think if any other company did this shit, if most other companies in the gaming industry did this shit, they would be getting so much fucking flack from people that are opening their mouths and saying, yes, please, Rockstar, fuck me harder. Opening up their wallets, please take my money, good sir. These people would be slamming, if any other company did this shit, these people would be slamming their wallets shut and yelling at them and telling them to fuck off and die. But not Rockstar. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, yeah, I love GTA San Andreas. I still love GTA San Andreas, but fuck me. I don't understand how you can be this defensive over a company and excuse this much bullshit. And then there's the whole first party thing, you know, first party PS5 exclusive. If they don't, I don't know for sure. I didn't look into this that much. But if GTA 6 is a PS5 exclusive, holy fuck, it's still gonna do good. It's still gonna do good. Rockstar's still gonna stay afloat. Why? Well, they've gotten like how many billions of dollars in the past decade, across the past decade, from GTA Online, and there's gonna be people. There's gonna be people that are gonna go to GTA 6 because they're still GTA fans. But this is something I told a friend earlier, a few days ago or so. They're gonna release GTA 6. If they release GTA 6 on the PS5 as an exclusive with no online, and you gotta pay 20 extra bucks for a version that has more content, so you're paying $100. I think it will do decently. I am afraid it will do decently, and I believe it will. It's never going to make the money back that they spent on it, but that's fine because they can just sit on GTA Online and make that money back anyway. But one thing I told a friend recently that came to my mind was, I feel like even if they did put out a GTA 6 Online, people will still flock to it, but not like GTA 5 Online. Why? Because a lot of those people, because of sunk cost fallacy, because a lot of those people have put hundreds, thousands of hours into the shit they have on GTA Online. And if they go to, and if there's no carryover, and they're gonna just lose all their shit and start from the bottom, and go from the top all the way to the bottom again with GTA 6 Online, I can tell you there's gonna be so many people that are gonna be like, nah, I'm comfy right where I am in GTA 5 Online with the stuff I've built up. 10 years of shit that I have accumulated on my character. I'm not going back to having nothing. You're out of your fucking mind. There's going to be people like that. But it's still going to do well, and they're still going to make lots of money overall anyway. It sucks. Companies can bleed money like a hemorrhage. Like it's a fucking bleeding, hemorrhaging wound these days. They still make it. They still make it. And they're still shitting up games. Like I said, there's still plenty of games that are good. Many more games are going to come out that are good. I've seen a few things about multiple Parasite Eve likes that are going to be coming out probably in the next few years. There's it's in early access. It's not Parasite Eve like. It's in early access. There's this one game Moldred showed off that is literally where it's literally like you. It's a Deus Ex like where you're a female cyborg that wakes up in a trash heap. You patch yourself up. The guy that's in charge of the junkyard gives you some pointers, gives you some basic tips, and you're on your way. And you have a whole fucking cyberpunk dystopia style city to explore. You can do all kinds of from the Moldred video I watched on this. You can do all kinds of missions, all kinds of stuff. I think it was a Moldred video I saw that covered this game, but it was very interesting. But it was also at the time in early access, and I think it still might be. I got to go find that game again to check, but I'm pretty sure it's still in EA. That game looks really fucking interesting. I want to play that game. I'm not sure if I want to play it in early access or if I want to and then play it again in the full released version or wait for the full released version, however long that takes. I have a bit of FOMO involved in this, where I'll play an early access game to experience it. I do that with Power World. I do that with Ellen. Might do that for this game. But yeah, I'm rambling a lot at this point.
Personally, I just fucking hate it. I hate a lot of what's going on. It feels like there's a lot of hate towards Asians, a lot of hate towards the stuff that has an anime or anime-esque aesthetic and style to it. A lot of unnecessary hate, a lot of unnecessary blowback that people that just want to make the games they want to make are getting. I find it curious if people are going to bitch about Asians looking too young when it comes out that when it comes out that Eve's model was an actual woman, then why are people giving people shit for bitching about Faye and God of War Lao Fei? The very attractive, very beautiful actress that she is, she gets scanned in, and then boom. I don't know what they did. They like aged her up and beat her with an ugly stick. They made her look worse than she does in real life. People complained about that in defense of her, and they get called loser incel chud gamers on Twitter that don't want to see powerful women in games. But then these same people turn around and see Eve and Evie, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't mean powerful women like that. Not like that." Suddenly, it's not what they want. Suddenly, it's not their standard. Knight's Path got flack because they released a romance option, and I told somebody this, by the way, without giving them the proof, and they went find in a server I'm in once, and they went find in the last few weeks, and they went searching for it on their own, came back and reposted the tweet that I'm talking about, and they're like, "Holy shit! I didn't think you were serious, but yeah." There was at least one tweet I saw where someone literally called this trad wife gooner bait slop. Where the people behind Knight's Path release a romance option. It's a fully clothed woman. There's no way you can even remotely misconstrue this and try to say she's too young looking. She is a beautiful, attractive looking, grown, fully clothed woman, barely showing any skin. Her breasts and ass aren't too big. And they still complain. They still complain, bitching that it's traditional wife porn. You can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. Traditional wife porn. That just because it is set in like some medieval Europe times, and it's celebrating the idea of a traditional family, that's what you have a problem with? It's fucking crazy. Nothing's ever good enough. Because nothing's ever good enough, and it's not because we haven't found the right thing they want. Or rather, it's because we don't want the thing they want. These same people turn around and they bitch at the people complaining about Faye and God of War Lao Fei. Oh, we're not progressive enough. We don't like. You fucking gamers. You gamers don't like powerful, attractive women games. Well, for one thing, she's not really attractive. In fact, I find her actual model, the actual actress, very attractive. I don't think she's attractive, though, the character in the game. Because they beat her with an ugly stick. I would like to close this out with a little something. A little something I saw recently. A couple of things, actually. All right? So, one of the things I saw recently, I don't remember which game it was for. I thought it was for South of Midnight. Turned out it was for something else. I don't remember. So I apologize for that up front. But I saw a thing where a guy came out and he admitted that he was one of the designers for a video game that had a black female protagonist. And this black female protagonist, much like Eve in Stellar Blade, Faye in God of War Lao Fei, was scanned in, mocapped in, scanned in, whatever, from an actual, very attractive black actress or model or some such, one of the two. She was one of the two without a doubt, I remember. I think it was an actress, a very attractive black female actress, was scanned in to be this main character in a game that had a lot of black representation in it, and this guy who was one of the designers in this game came out and said, except
They didn't want it to be 1-to-1. The actress they scanned in, this very attractive black lady. No, they wanted revisions. And he explains that they ended up doing like 10 or so revisions on this character. Every time they would send the design the design to people, design up the ladder, it would be sent back down with a with the message, no, do another revision. They ended up doing like about 10 revisions, and the end result was that, if I remember right, is that not only did this character end up not looking not as attractive as the actress, and rather ugly actually, she looked nothing like the actress, if I remember right. So you're telling me you're not even representing the person you scanned in properly. So why the fuck did you bother doing that then? But what was also interesting to me was this same guy came out and openly said that he had multiple conversations with black representing creators in the industry and creators, developers, whatever in the industry, whatever it was, and he is now no longer talking about this. And he even blatantly says, "This is not an invitation to change my mind. I am not talking about this anymore, and that's that." And what this tells me is he got ganged up on by a bunch of these people who bitched him and said, "Look now, you said shit you shouldn't have said. You won't keep your fucking mouth shut. You hear?" That's what that told me. And then, of course, there's the Microsoft mandate. I can bitch to high heaven and back about Sony censoring stuff, but last I checked, I could be wrong, could end up being wrong in the future, Sony does not have a mandate like this. Microsoft does. They have a mandate for how you design your female characters. They can't be too sexy. Their asses and tits can't be too big. They can't have particularly soft looking textured skin. Can't have any of that. Nah, they gotta look like they fell down the ugly tree and hit every branch on the fucking way down. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but they can't be too attractive. They can't be too pretty. They can't be too sexy. Meanwhile, you got shit like the new RE game, Leon in the new RE game looking like every woman's wet dream, and people celebrate this shit. There's a double standard in the industry. It's so fucking present and clear. And I feel like it's worth talking about. All I can say, looking forward to Palworld 1.0, looking forward to Stellar Blade BloodRayne, looking forward to playing Crimson Desert, looking forward to maybe eventually getting to do it, and I'm a bit iffy on that Ring Zero access thing it has, but yeah, we'll see. But I might play that. Kind of looking forward to it. The idea of single-player MMOs is very enticing. Another game I've been interested in is Sora Online Hollow Realization, which has been described to me by a friend of mine as being effectively a single-player MMO. I like that kind of shit. I might buy that and play that. Looking forward to playing Stellar Blade soon. Looking forward to a lot of things. A lot of good stuff. While I ignore the bullshit. That's basically that.